Yeah, welcome back to Broken Reaction Game Review channel. Today we're gonna do a review on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now this here is a nostalgia review right here, man. Like, this is like one of the first RPGs that I ever played. I want to say back in 1997, not sure, but definitely over 20 years of anticipating this return. And they've recently had this as the game of the month in March, to where you can download it on PlayStation Plus for free. So if you missed out on it, man, you was missing something pretty dope. So right here, I was doing a squat competition. I used to do the same thing on the old one, and I was really good on the old one. And looks like I outdid the CPU in doing squats, because it became a rhythm and you get faster and faster. But it was fun, man. I enjoyed it, man. I was going in. If you don't know the story of the franchise, the main character here is Cloud Strife, who used to be an ex-soldier. After leaving soldier, he joined with an old friend Tifa to help her on a mission to avenge, or to just do one of Avalanche's missions to destroy Shinra Company, which was a power company that's taking so much power and materia away from the earth that is damaging the earth, kind of like in real lifetime. You know, you see chemical spills and all this stuff in factories just not doing right as far as chemical waste, and it's hurting the planet. But anyway, who joins him is Barrett, who's also part of Avalanche with Tifa, and you get to play with Aerith, which is the flower girl that you see, and he happens to meet her by falling into her church, and the flowers actually breaking his fall. And so it's a lot of history with Final Fantasy. Just trying to get into it and explain all of it in one sitting, it's probably gonna be nearly impossible, but you can do the research on YouTube. So my review is going to be mostly based on my experience while playing it. Trying to see what point was I at. Definitely was looked like I was attacking Shinra. At another part, we're attacking Shinra, and I'm gonna eventually meet up with Reno, which I think will be a fight between Rude this time, because I fought Reno in Aerith's church. So yeah. So gameplay mechanics, very smooth, very user friendly. It felt good upgrading weapons, finding material, finding items, you know, even the sounds. It was a beautiful nostalgia. There were some people that had complaints about certain things in the background and certain patches that were needed to make the game the best that it could ever be. And I feel like that was a gift and a curse to be able to speak your mind, because now the new update, which is First Kill Last Soldier, I believe, or the Yuffie spinoff, which is you get to play with the character Yuffie, who's like a shinobi, and you see what she was doing these events that took place on part 1. So I feel like it was a gift and a curse, because you have to have a PS5 in order to play it. So I felt like, to give it the best graphics, to give it everything it needed, they had to push it to the next platform. And I feel like they probably initially really wanted it to be on PS5, but the release of it may have been too slow. I don't know. There's a lot of things building around the anticipation of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Some people missed out on it. I'm surprised. A lot of my friends that actually like this one, who haven't even completed, who like Final Fantasy VII but have not even completed it. I was like, wow. So and it's time, but I feel like in quarantine I had plenty of time to play these games all the way through. Definitely was a dope game, and I was like literally playing it day and night. So it took some time to beat it and do the side quests, and just more than just beating it, you wanted to upgrade your weapons and upgrade everybody's weapons as well. You didn't just want to beat it just to say you beat it. You wanted to also have the evidence to show that you grinded through, you know. So Barrett, you know, Barrett is a character that reminds me of one of my friends. I won't state his name, but he reminds me of one of my friends. Yeah. So I'm skipping these scenes for the sake of time because I've already seen them, and you guys can see these clips on YouTube anyway. So I'm just gonna take time to do the battle just to show you the mechanics. I got a lot of material, a lot of slots, a lot of setup. I got a whole loadout for different battles, and that's something that's cool because in the past on Final Fantasy VII, the original, I had different teams, but I stuck to Cloud, and I think I stick with Cloud, Tifa, and maybe Red 13, or probably Vincent. And I stayed with them through the whole game, like so much to the point that when I got to the final part to fight Supernova Sephiroth or whatever, it took me the longest time to beat him because I didn't know I needed to switch to the other team in order to beat the other side of him. And that side of the team wasn't my strong suit, so I was like, dang, I should have spread it out, my abilities, the fights with everybody, so I can have a well-rounded team when I got to that. But I ended up beating the game anyway. But it was definitely something that I felt like if you had favorite characters, you didn't want to switch them out. And I was pretty young playing this, maybe about 9 years old. Now, as a fully grown man playing it, you know, I can appreciate what everybody has to bring to the table. So yeah, we're fighting Reno. Actually, I said we were gonna fight Rude, but I think Rude will be next in the next sequence. We'll see again. But yeah, so Reno, which I thought they did a good job with giving him, like, they didn't make him weak, because watching like Final Fantasy avid children, you thought that like Reno was cool looking, had this Horang kind of swag, like from Tekken. He was cool, but he probably weak. Looks cool, but he's weak. When you fought him, you was like, yo, this dude really, these guys really are skilled. They're like the FBI. They really are skilled individuals. So you have to like literally take them seriously and fight and use the mechanics to your advantage. But yeah. So we got Rude in the helicopter dropping explosives or missiles down. I'm trying to make sure I can keep an eye on Reno, because Reno will sneak up on you and have one character cornered out. So everybody's focused back on Reno. And I'm pretty sure I had a setup with a certain combo. So yeah. So he has me in the pyramid. I can't do anything as Cloud. So you switch out to Barrett. You can shoot the helicopter or you can shoot Reno. Either way, it was cool. Yeah. So yeah, now we just trying to find a good spell that I could use to get that helicopter down. So I think in this particular part of the battle, we get Rude and Reno both on the ground, ready to hit us with a duo. It'd be cool if they made a side story where you get to actually play as these Shinra agents. Yeah, and what's his name was pretty strong, so he's the quiet one. He was the quiet one, but he could really definitely fight. He was nothing to play with. In the battle, you forgot that was the same dude because he was so aggressive in combat versus when you fought him in front of Era's house. Yeah. So far as the story of the remake, I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do next. And when I mean next, I mean like sequeling this remake. Will they really go and have a new storyline with Vincent being alive, and not Vincent, I'm sorry, what is his name, Zack. Zack being alive as Soldier First Class, and will there be another Cloud, or will Cloud just, well, his memories changed to remembering surviving with Zack. It makes you wonder so many different things because they can go so many different directions with the story. Nobody really wants to see Aerith die again. We've seen Zack survive, so that was something different. I remember seeing that. That was one of the saddest Final Fantasy endings, seeing Zack get shot down, Cloud crawling to Zack, Mako poisoned, and Zack giving his final words to him. And after that, Cloud was literally at a state of having a lot of, he was just out of it, man. His memories, he even thought that he was Zack for a while. He still went by Cloud. He kept his memories, but he also was living on as if he was Zack. So now, with the ending of the remake, with Zack surviving with Cloud and now walking back to Midgard, I'm wondering how this would turn out. And I'm hoping it just wasn't something just to keep us talking until they made something to continue and just keep the same story. Because, like, these arbiters of fate that they're fighting, it really made sense because these arbiters of fate are almost like our will, or the will of the people that remember Final Fantasy VII. They did their best to make the story remain the same, no changes. Even when certain characters were meant to die, the Arbiter of Fate will bring them back to life, which you will see when Sephiroth kills Barret in a scene, and you're like, whoa, that's not canon. So the Arbiter of Fate brought Barret back to life. But in the end, you end up fighting the Arbiters of Fate to change their destiny, which it seems like Aerith and Sephiroth do not like the turnout of events. So in one scene, you have Aerith who's optimistic that there's a different way for her to be able to survive and live life, maybe, and be a part of the Final Fantasy franchise for the long haul instead of dying midway through. And then we have Sephiroth, who knows his end, but is talking to Cloud, and he says that you have 7 seconds. And a lot of YouTubers have done the research and said it took about 7 seconds for Aerith to be killed by Sephiroth in the old animation clip. So we don't know if he's regarding that or if it could be another 7 seconds. Or maybe, it could be on an angelic form, because Sephiroth appears angelic, and in angelic or the spiritual realm, a year can be just equivalent to a day. So can 7 seconds mean 7 minutes or 7 hours? There's a lot of things that people can do, but I'm not going to go so deep into saying that I know what the 7 seconds is. It could be them going to another reactor, and it took 7 seconds to undo what he did. It can go on forever. But definitely, man, this was a pretty dope game, man. I enjoyed playing it. I don't think if they, I hate that people had to quarantine and there were, this virus that I can't speak over camera was afloat for people. But far as being able to find things to do, this was something that held me over for a little bit. Those days that I wasn't making music, days I was just had a lot of time. The house was clean, the kids were chill, had good food, had my wings from Wing Station when I wasn't worried about my weight. I was chilling and I enjoyed it. I had a whole little bit to actually play the game, and this was one of the games that I played. So I think I'm just gonna make a series of games that I played during quarantine, which is pretty much everything after quarantine, but true quarantine, when there was no tissues on the rack. There was no tissue on the rack to get, barely could find hand sanitizer. That quarantine. Now it's just being precautious, being safe, being clean, as we should have all been prior. But anyway, so this was a nostalgia escape, and I was wondering how they was gonna do it. I remember the mischief looking view of this, and they redid it with the great graphic schematics. You see the plant blowing up, and you see Barret leading them down the zip line. But I think the narrative changed a lot. The reality of what was happening at these reactors. Like, before you was just like, yeah, they blew up another reactor, but then you start to see it different. And look, that's Kate Seif, the one of the characters that you could play with originally on the first disc. You don't get a chance to play with him on this one, but maybe on Yuffie you get to see Kate Seif. But anyway, the reality of blowing up buildings is that you could be blowing up a building that's in a neighborhood. People live in these neighborhoods, so the livelihood of people changes. So Avalanche began to look like the enemy to certain people because they feel like they're not mindful of how we live. They're choosing what they want. They're doing what they want to do and infecting people at no cost. So I never, in the prior games, really view Avalanche as bad guys. But at this point, it gave me the narrative perspective. Like, man, there is another way to look at these guys. You know. But ultimately, you know, it was what it was. And yeah. So thank you for chiming in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I have more videos on what I played during quarantine. I'm just going to make a playlist and set it up for you guys. This is your host, Broken Prodycal. Thank you for tuning in to Broken Reaction Game Review channel. And I'm out. Enjoy.